and today I want to break down some of that stuff that I was just playing. I want to talk about funk lines on major chord structures and major-ish chord structures. We generally think about funk lines having sort of a minor vibe to it, but of course we also know a lot of funk lines, sort of stuff that I was just playing, that is in a major tonality. And today I want to talk about a couple bass lines that are just on a simple major sixth sound. And then I want to talk about some just dominant seventh bass lines, which is major-ish. You know, we have a major triad and then a dominant seventh. And then if you stick around to the end of the video, I want to show you a secret way of breaking down dominant seventh that I love to use for my funk bass lines. So the bass lines I want to show you today, they all have the same basic rhythm. I'm just changing some of the pitches to go along with the tonality and also to add a little theme and variation to the lines. Now, the first of these lines that I want to show you is based around a major sixth chord. We're talking about C major sixth. We're talking about C, E, G, and A. So putting those notes on the bass, I have C, E, G, A. Here's what this line sounds like. This simple C6 bass line is really our template for the other bass lines that I'm going to show you. Everything else I'm going to show you is just sort of a variation on this shape and on this sound. But in this bass line, I'm just outlining, starting with just a simple C6 arpeggio. C, E, A, G. And then I repeat that, a little variation. And then this little lick to bring us back to the top of the phrase. Okay, that we hear Jocko play all the time and tons of other people. For our next line, we're going to outline a C dominant seventh sound. So for dominant seventh, now we're just talking about 1, 3, 5, flat 7, C, E, G, B flat. Okay, here's our line. So as you can hear with this bass line, our dominant seventh structure, using the same rhythmic pattern that we've been using, just changing our pitches to reflect this dominant seventh structure, this C dominant seventh structure, and really emphasizing basically the chord tones of C dominant seventh with a couple other pitches in there. So the line is... Okay, so I've got C, our dominant seventh, and then our third. Those are our three most important notes of this dominant seventh structure: our root, our flat 7, and our third. 6 to 5, and then again, and then playing this same sort of little turnaround lick that I played before. Okay, so I have... Okay, now one thing with these sorts of lines at this sort of tempo, experiment with playing your open G string and your closed G string. They both have their benefits. The open G string is harder to control, but it can be a little more comfortable, obviously. We have our open G string right there. But experiment using both. So experiment using open string to our closed string. And now to our fourth line, just a simple variation on the line I just played. So again, the bass line is just a variation on the line I just played, adding a couple more of these 16th note syncopated fills in here, which can get a little tricky. So the line here is outlining that dominant 7th shape, 7, 3, 6, 5, and then just repeating it and playing a little variation on it. Now this is tricky, so I really recommend practicing this slow to dial this in. And I do recommend playing this closed. If I try playing it open A, it's real hard to control those strings. Right? So I do recommend playing this closed. And now for our last bass line, the one that you've been waiting for. This is my secret way of breaking down and playing on a dominant 7th chord. It sounds like this. All right, so what am I doing with this bass line? Using the same basic rhythms that we've been using on the previous bass lines, but changing our pitches to reflect this concept. So when I see dominant 7th, I like to think about that as G minor 6th over C. And let's go to the piano to explain that. So what I have here is a C9 chord. This is a C dominant 7th chord with a 9th. C, E, G, B flat, that's C dominant 7th, and then our 9th. But this chord is kind of tricky just to improvise on, to play bass lines on, to solo on when we're just seeing it like this. So what I like to do is take something that I stole from the great jazz educator Barry Harris, the way that he likes to think about this chord, and it's very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to take this note, we're going to raise it up an octave, so we get this, and that gives us G minor 6, G, B flat, D, E, over C. This is something I talked about in a previous video on minor funk lines. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. This is one of my main frameworks for improvisation. You can check out that video right here. But if we think about the chord this way, G minor 6 over C, it really makes it a lot easier to improvise on, to play bass lines on, or to solo on, because I can just think about these notes, this G minor 6 structure, as the notes I'm going to use to either play a fill, to create my bass line with, to solo with, and then I can come back to that C. You can also think about this. Jeb Patton, a great pianist in New York here, calls this our numerator and our denominator. Okay? So we put this on the bass. I'm just playing our root. Then I go up to this minor 6 shape. G, B flat, D, E. I'm just playing it from E down. Okay. It's already hit just like that, right? And I'm just thinking about this idea of my numerator, which is G minor 6, and then C is my denominator, my bass note. Okay. Play that again. And then just sort of repeat that G minor 6 shape with some more 16th note syncopation sort of stuff. B flat, D, E, D, B flat, G, and then back to C. So again. Okay, so I'm thinking about C dominant 7th, breaking it apart into G minor 6th over C. G minor 6th is G, B flat, D, and E. Okay, that's our 5th, our 7th, our 9th, and our 3rd over our root C. So mix and match with these different sounds. Practice this stuff slowly. It'll give you both this awareness of how to play these funk lines on these major structures, and with this last approach I gave you, which is a huge thing that I use all the time, it'll help you to break this big chord into what Barry Harris calls a little chord, this little chord over a root, this G minor 6th over C, which just makes it so much easier to improvise on that C 9th structure. Practice these lines, and again, smash that subscribe button. See you next time.